Good Friday morning to you. Rev here this morning. It is Friday the 14th of January of 2022. And I hope you're safe and well and blessed this morning. And I pray that you are ready to go be a witness for Jesus. I'm going to read to you this morning from the book of Exodus, chapter 4. This is a little bit lengthy, so just hang with me here for a minute. Beginning with verse 1 of chapter 4 of Exodus. Moses answered, "What if they don't believe me or listen to me and say, 'The Lord did not appear to you'?" Then the Lord said to him, "What is that in your hand?" "A staff," he replied. The Lord said, "Throw it down on the ground." Moses threw it down on the ground and it became a snake, and he ran from it. Me too. Then the Lord said to him, "Reach out your hand and take it by the tail." So Moses reached out and took hold of the snake, and it turned back into a staff in his hand. "This," said the Lord, "is so that they may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you." Then the Lord said, "Put your hand inside your cloak." And so Moses put his hand into his cloak, and when he took it out, it was leprous like snow. "Now put it back into your cloak," he said. So Moses put his hand back into his cloak, and when he took it out, it was restored like the rest of his flesh. Then the Lord said, "If they don't believe you or pay attention to the first miraculous sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not believe these two signs or listen to you, take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. The water you take from the river will become blood on the ground." And Moses said to the Lord, "Oh Lord, I've never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." And the Lord said to him, "Who gave man his mouth? Who makes him deaf or mute? Who gives him sight or makes him blind? It's not I, or is it not I, the Lord? Now go, and I'll help you speak and will teach you what to say." But Moses said, "Oh Lord, please send somebody else to do it." And then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, "What about your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know he can speak well, and he's already on his way to meet you, and his heart will be glad when he sees you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. I will help both of you speak and will teach you what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth and as if you were God to him. But take this staff in your hand so you can perform miraculous signs with it." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. You guys, you remember a movie many years ago with Don Knotts in it called The Reluctant Astronaut? Well, this is kind of like the reluctant prophet. And Moses gets quite a calling that most would be proud to have. But Moses, he tries to make all kinds of excuses. Now, my dad's definition of an excuse was the skin of a reason stuffed with a lie. And Moses came up with 5 of them. He felt that he was incapable or unqualified, and that hits a lot of us kind of right between the eyes. He felt that the people were ignorant of God and would be skeptical of God's power to truly help them. He felt that the people wouldn't believe him. He felt that he was not eloquent or gifted as a speaker. And I think the last one was he just didn't want to go. Pick somebody else. He refused asking God to send somebody else for him. And in answer, God gives him 2 promises. Number 1, I'll be with you. I'll give you the strength. I'll give you the courage. I'll give you the faith. I'll give you the ability and I'll lead you and I'll guide you. And that promise is given throughout Scripture. He promised Isaac that same promise in Genesis 28. He promised Joshua 3 times in Joshua 1, chapter 1, chapter 3, and in Deuteronomy chapter 3. God promised to be with Jeremiah in Jeremiah 1. He promised to be with Israel in Haggai chapter 1. He promised to be with all believers who bear witness for Christ in Matthew 28. And the second promise was a successful mission. In verse 12, it says this. It says, "Now go, I will help you speak and will teach you what to say." Look, I'm in the wrong chapter here. This is from chapter 3. And God said, I'll be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. You notice he said when and not if. So he knew that it was going to be a successful mission. And all this should have been enough. But Moses was still reluctant. Nobody has the capability to serve God in his own strength. And a lot of times we use that as an excuse to not serve him. But we need to know that God is faithful to you and to me, just like he was faithful to Moses, because he gives us the very same promises. God can use you to deliver people out of the world. Out of their world of sin, which is represented here by Egypt. And he can help you lead them into the promised land of heaven. I didn't want to be a preacher. And you know, I tried all kinds of excuses to get out of that too, but it just didn't work out. But God gave Moses some miraculous signs. The staff turned into a snake. The third sign that he left to faith was he turned water into blood. He would turn water into blood. And even after all of this, all these promises that God gives Moses, he still is reluctant. But here's the thing. When you reject God's call, you miss out. You know, rejecting God's call is serious business. You see, God chose Aaron to replace Moses in a significant area, and that being God's spokesperson and messenger to the people. Moses lost the greatest privilege of being that spokesman, all because he rejected God for so long. He also lost the chance to be the father, the first of God's priests, the very first of God's messengers and spokesmen to Israel. All because he argued so much with God against God's call. But we know that by reading on just a little bit further, Moses finally does go to Egypt. And he clung tight to his staff. Which was a sign of God's presence and power. You know, we may not have that shepherd staff today to hang on to. We don't have the shepherd staff, but we have the shepherd. We have Jesus. And reluctance can be overcome. I was reluctant of being a pastor, but I overcame that with God's help, and here I sit. You know, when you feel inadequate, just remember God's promises and hang on to Jesus. Hold on to him tight. He is the good shepherd, and he will bring you through. I'm Pastor Mark. I love you guys. Be safe, be well, be blessed, be strong. Go do something for Jesus. I'll see you tomorrow.